Okay, so picture this. You're finally turning a profit with your business here in the UAE. Everything's going great. And then, bam, you've got corporate taxes to deal with.
It's like a punch to the gut. But hold on. What if there was a way to soften that blow? What if you could hold on to more of those hard-earned dirhams?
That's what we're going to dig into today. Those oh-so important but often misunderstood deductible expenses.
Think of it like a hidden treasure map to saving money. And we've got an expert guide from ProTax Accountant to help us decipher it.
Precisely. We're going to break it down. What can you deduct? What absolutely can't you? Why does it even matter? And what are those sneaky little gotchas that can trip us up?
You know, it's actually pretty interesting. The UAE tax system is designed to be pretty business-friendly.
Really?
Yeah, there are actually quite a few ways to lighten your tax burden completely legally. The trick is you got to know the rules.
Okay, so let's get down to the nitty-gritty here. ProTax Accountant keeps talking about this wholly and exclusively test. What does that even mean for someone like me, just a regular business owner trying to make things work?
Okay, so think of it like this. Every single dirham you spend needs to be wearing a little badge that says business only for it to be deductible.
Got it. So if it's 100% for my business, I'm good to go. Like that office rent we were talking about earlier.
Exactly. That's a clear business expense. Now, what about something like your phone?
Oh, my phone.
You use it for business calls, sure, but let's be real, you're probably checking social media and browsing the internet too.
Guilty as charged.
So can you deduct the entire phone bill? Nope. This is where things can get a little tricky and a bit scary, to be honest.
Oh no, our first fear trigger.
You've got to be able to prove how much of your phone use is truly for business. Keep those receipts. Track your usage. And be ready to back it up with hard evidence. The tax authorities are going to want to see it.
Documentation, documentation, documentation.
Got it.
So no more telling the tax auditor that my online shopping sprees are market research.
Probably not going to fly.
Okay, so now that we've got the ground rules set, let's get to the fun part, the deductions. What are some things people might not even realize they can deduct?
Ooh, there are definitely some surprises tucked away in there. Did you know that if you take your team on a retreat, like to boost morale and build those relationships, the costs could be fully deductible?
Wait, really? So like a weekend getaway to Hatta could actually be a smart business move? Tax-wise, I mean.
Exactly. It shows you're investing in your team, and the UAE tax law actually recognizes that happy, healthy employees equal a successful business.
I like the sound of that. So it's like a hidden bonus for being a good boss. What about like equipment? Say I bought a brand new computer for the business. Can I deduct the whole thing all at once?
That falls under depreciation of assets. So even though you pay a big chunk of money up front, that computer's going to last you a few years, right?
Right.
Instead of deducting the entire cost in one go, you spread it out over the computer's expected lifespan.
So it's like getting a little tax break each year. Smart.
Very smart. Now let's talk about those gray areas, travel and entertainment. Can I deduct that business trip that turned into a mini vacation?
Ooh, good question. How do they even decide what's business and what's pleasure?
You've got to be able to separate those expenses. So your flights and hotel for a conference, probably fully deductible. But those extra days you spent exploring, not so much.
Okay, that makes sense. It's all about being organized and having those receipts to prove what's what.
Speaking of proof, let's talk about another potential danger zone, apportioning those expenses. Let's say you have a dedicated home office. Can you deduct your entire rent or mortgage payment?
Oh, I've been wondering about this. How much of my home office can I actually deduct?
Well, you've got to be able to justify the percentage you're claiming. If your office takes up, say, 20% of your apartment's total space, you can likely deduct 20% of your rent or mortgage interest.
It's like the tax authorities are right there in my living room measuring everything.
And what about those tricky shared employee costs? If someone works for you in another company, how do we figure out what's deductible?
Yeah, that's a good one.
It boils down to carefully tracking their time and splitting their salary costs accordingly.
So if they spend 70% of their time on my company, I can deduct 70% of their salary for my company.
That's exactly. Got to be fair and transparent. And then there's the whole world of entertainment expenses, client dinners, team outings. Are those things even deductible?
I was just about to ask that.
In the UAE, it's a bit more complicated. Only 50% of entertainment expenses for clients or business partners are deductible.
50%.
But here's the catch. Entertainment for your employees, 100% deductible.
Hold on a sec. So a team building bowling night is fully deductible, but a fancy client dinner isn't.
Yep. It all comes down to the intention. Employee entertainment is seen as directly benefiting the business. Client entertainment, well, it could be for a lot of different reasons. It's another one of those UAE tax nuances.
Okay, so I'm noticing a trend here.
Yeah.
Documentation justification.
Yeah.
Understanding the fine print. It's not just about following the rules, it's about knowing the why behind them.
You got it. And that's why staying informed is so crucial. Tax laws are constantly changing, so you've got to keep up. And that's where resources like the Pro Tax Accountant blog can be so helpful. They do a fantastic job of breaking down these complex updates in a way that actually makes sense.
So we've talked about the wholly and exclusively rule. We've uncovered some of those hidden deduction gems, and we've even navigated a few of those danger zones. But it feels like we're just scratching the surface here.
Right.
Pro Tax Accountant actually goes beyond just deductions. They dive into some really interesting, broader financial strategies that can help businesses not just survive, but really thrive.
Yeah, they talk about cash versus accrual accounting, budgeting, financial analysis, all of these super valuable tools that can help business owners make those really smart financial decisions.
Okay, so let's unpack those a bit. Cash versus accrual accounting, what's the difference? And why should we even care?
All right, so imagine you're running a lemonade stand.
A lemonade stand.
With cash accounting, you only record a sale when someone physically hands you money for a cup of lemonade. Super simple, straightforward. What you see is what you get.
Okay, I can handle that. So when do I need to bring in the big accounting guns and switch to accrual accounting?
Accrual accounting is like taking a more sophisticated approach to your lemonade stand finances. Let's say you have a regular customer who promises to buy 10 cups of lemonade every Friday, but they don't actually pay you until the end of the month.
Okay.
With accrual accounting, you'd record those 10 lemonade sales every Friday, even though you haven't physically received the cash yet.
So you're recognizing revenue when it's earned, not just when the cash is in hand.
Exactly. And the same goes for expenses. Let's say you order a ton of lemons for your lemonade stand, but you don't actually pay the supplier until next month. With accrual accounting, you'd record that lemon expense right away, even though the cash hasn't left your wallet yet.
Interesting. So it's about painting a more accurate picture of your financial situation at any given time.
Precisely. It's not just about the immediate cash flow, it's about understanding the bigger financial story playing out. And actually, Pro Tax Accountant includes a link to a great article that breaks down the pros and cons of each method specifically for UAE businesses. They're awesome at making this stuff relevant.
I love that they do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so accounting 101 is done. What about budgeting? It seems so simple, but it's something a lot of us struggle with.
You know, Pro Tax Accountant makes a really good point. They say that budgeting isn't about restricting yourself, it's about empowering yourself.
Okay, how so?
It's about creating a roadmap to reach your financial goals.
I like that. It's not about deprivation, it's about direction.
Exactly. And they recommend breaking down your budget into different categories: operating expenses, marketing costs, your projected revenue, so you can actually see where your money's going and figure out where you can save or where you might want to invest more.
Like giving your finances a makeover? And then there's financial analysis, which sounds super intimidating.
Oh, yeah. It can definitely sound scary, but it doesn't have to be. Pro Tax Account actually has this really cool guide that shows you how to analyze a balance sheet in under 2 minutes.
2 minutes. That's it.
That's all it takes. They break down those key elements, your assets, your liabilities, your equity, and explain how it all fits together to show you your financial health.
Okay, I'm definitely checking that out. 2 minutes, that's nothing. And we can't forget about VAT, right?
Ah, yes, VAT. Another one of those things that can cause a lot of headaches.
Another 3-letter acronym to strike fear into our hearts.
But Pro Tax Accountant actually has a great overview of VAT registration in the UAE. Who needs to register, how the whole process works, what it means for your business. It's a great resource.
It's amazing how they manage to cover so much ground. It feels like we're getting a mini MBA in finance here, not just a lesson on deductible expenses.
It's all about knowledge and empowerment.
Right. It feels good to know there are tools and resources out there that can help us understand all this stuff.
That's exactly what Pro Tax Accountant wants. They want business owners to feel confident and in control.
So we've covered the what and the why of deductible expenses, but what about the how? Pro Tax Accountant actually gives some great advice on how to stay compliant and make sure you're actually getting those deductions you're entitled to.
Right, and this is where things get really important. You've got to keep those records organized.
We're talking receipts, invoices, bank statements, the whole 9 yards.
Everything. No more shoving receipts in a shoebox and hoping for the best. Get organized, use those digital tools, make sure everything's labeled clearly. It'll save you a ton of stress down the line.
So being organized is key. Got it.
Yeah.
What else?
They also recommend reviewing your expenses regularly.
So it's not a set it and forget it kind of deal.
Nope. Things change,
Mm,
businesses evolve. What was deductible last year might not be this year. So make a habit of checking in on your expenses and making sure everything's still up to code with the latest tax laws.
like a financial checkup. Always good to stay on top of it.
And speaking of staying up to date, Pro Tax Accountant also really emphasizes the importance of keeping yourself informed about any changes to those UAE tax
So
laws.
subscribe to their blog, follow them on social media, all that good stuff.
Exactly. They've got all the latest updates and insights. And finally, their biggest piece of advice. If you're not sure about something, don't hesitate to get some professional help.
Yeah, sometimes it's worth it to call in the experts.
Definitely. ProTax Accountant actually offers some really affordable corporate tax accounting services for businesses of all sizes.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, from the ins and outs of deductible expenses to those big picture financial strategies. But I think the biggest takeaway is this idea of empowerment.
Right. It's not about being intimidated by all those tax rules. It's about understanding how to actually use them to your advantage.
It's about taking control of your financial future.
And that's a powerful feeling, right?
Absolutely. It's about taking charge of your finances and writing your own success story. It really is. Taking all that complicated tax stuff and turning it into tools to help you succeed.
Exactly. And ProTax Accountant is all about giving you those tools. They really lay it all out in their guide with simple explanations, examples you can actually relate to, and even links to more resources if you want to dive even deeper.
Speaking of resources, I just remember they have a corporate tax calculator right on their website.
Oh, yeah.
It's like having your own personal tax genie.
It's pretty cool. You can plug in your numbers and see how different deductions might affect your taxes.
Okay, I'm adding that to my to-do list right now. But here's something interesting to think about. This whole deep dive has been focused on UAE tax law. But a lot of these principles, those wholly and exclusively rules, the documentation, the strategy behind it all, it applies to a lot of countries.
You know, you're absolutely right. It really makes you think, could you apply this knowledge to your personal finances? Are there deductions you're missing? Are you being smart with your spending?
There might be some ways to use these ideas to pay less in taxes and really boost your financial well-being, even if you're not running a business.
It all comes back to being informed, empowered, and taking charge.
And that's what we hope you take away from today's deep dive. We've just scratched the surface here, but hopefully we've sparked your curiosity and given you a good starting point. We've got a link to the full ProTax Accountant article in the show notes. Definitely check it out and explore all those amazing resources they've put together. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to your money.
Couldn't agree more.